I know I'm a bit late on this, but recently one of my favorite mangas got an anime adaptation, and of course, like any other fan, I had high expectations. I knew it's being made by Madhouse Studios, and they're known for big hits like One Punch Man, No Game No Life, Death Parade, but at the same time, they're also a studio who also does a little bit of goofing around. But after a couple of teasers here and there, I was hopeful and feeling optimistic because it looks great. And then when the anime finally started airing, I was super excited. I downloaded it totally legally and started watching it. 5 minutes in, and I expected it to be good, but I did not expect it to be a fucking masterpiece. The anime I'm talking about is Frieren. Frieren is a manga that always had a special place in my heart. I love fantasy stories, so it's natural for Frieren to be that high because it's one of the best fantasy mangas of all time. I'm obviously not going to spoil anything from the manga or the anime, but I'll briefly explain why Frieren anime could become something really special in the fantasy anime genre. Fantasy anime is not a real genre.
That motherfucker back there is not real!
Because every one of them is an isekai, but Frieren isn't, so that in itself is a very big innovation. The simple fact that you don't need to kill a gamer to tell a fantasy story is a big feat. Frieren is big on world building, and I know this sounds weird, but it's like Mushoku Tensei and Violet Evergarden had a baby, and that's not in a bad way. Frieren is the story of Frieren, a really old or almost immortal elf mage who wanders the earth searching for magic spells. The problem with Frieren is that time moves so fast compared to everyone else around her that even a decade feels like a couple of days for her. And that affects the people around her more than Frieren herself, because she just never ages while people around her are being born, getting old, and die. Empires start and collapse, and I finally finish One Piece, but all that passes by like a couple of years or months for Frieren because she has been in this world for far too long, and time passes differently for her. Like she says, it's only like 20 years to find an obscure flower straight to your face, and while that might sound insane to everyone else, it's absolutely normal for her. The story begins with Frieren and her party who she traveled with for 10 years, saving the world and finally retiring. But 10 years is nothing for her because the other party members knows almost everything about her, but she just went on a casual 10-year voyage with a couple of people. Now, if I keep talking more, I most certainly will get into spoilers, so all I'm gonna say is go read the manga if you don't want to wait for the anime, because it's most certainly worth it. It's one of the best mangas you'll ever read, but I'm here to talk about that anime because it's not what I was expecting. When I went into this anime, I was fully expecting a decent enough adaptation that would make the community happy. Something inoffensive, but it's not. This adaptation is one of the greatest I've ever seen, seriously. The quality levels on this is just insane. It's polished, refined, beautiful piece of art that the only thing you can do is just sit back and adore how good this is. The very first thing I want to talk about is the colors. I love the color palette they chose, and it fits perfectly for an anime like Frieren because it's very calm anime, and going with less saturated, soothing colors perfectly captures the tone of Frieren in my opinion. Frieren is not an anime that's going to throw you out of your seat, and most of the time it's very chill. So a proper color palette that does the same is a really good choice here. You'll see a lot of pastel colors, and the easiest way to describe it would be something like a Ghibli movie. There is also that slight film grain and chromatic aberration added into the mix, which gives it a really cool cinematic look, but thankfully they did not go overboard with these effects because chromatic aberration especially can look terrible if not done correctly. But the final product here really makes you want to keep watching. Just like the colors, the art style here does not pull any punches. This is quality production, and it's pretty easy to see that they did not cut any corners. The moment you're welcomed into this world of Frieren, you know it's going to be an immersive experience. The character designs might look pretty generic, but they still have their own unique charm. That works really well with the cinematic style they're going for here. Like I said before, it has a big Ghibli vibes to it, along with hints of Violet Evergarden smeared in here and there. And when comparing fantasy animes, most of them look super generic and low budget. And there are a few exceptions like Made in Abyss, Mushoku Tensei, ReZero. So Frieren is definitely trying to do a lot for this genre, and you really can't ask for much more. Now in terms of animation, I don't have a ton to talk about other than the fact it's amazing. It's well animated, and it most certainly looks better than Mushoku Tensei Season 2, where I even made a whole video talking about the reduction in animation quality from the first season of that anime. Frieren's animation is crisp, clean, and there's barely any CGI used anywhere, so there's nothing that's going to take you out of the show. But if I really had to nitpick to the point I might sound dumb, I have to say I'm not a fan of the magic summoning circle thing or whatever it's called, because I think the same assets are being used by every single anime with magic, and the same one is being used here too. And it kind of makes me hope they'd use something else or something custom for it, but as I said, it's not like a con or something, but it's more of like a dumb opinion that I shouldn't even be talking about here. Now the music. Starting with the OP, it's made by Yasabi, which automatically makes it a banger. If you don't know who Yasabi is, I think I'm pronouncing it correctly, I'm sorry if I'm not. They're the same person who's behind Oshinoko OP Idol. And do I even have to say anything anymore? But even keeping the opening aside, the entire music catalog in this anime sounds so good. As I said before, Frieren is a very calm anime, and calm anime deserves music that's chill. And it is really chill, and it sounds great all the time. A lot of the time, it reminded me of Violet Evergarden music, and Violet Evergarden has some of the best score ever made for a show in my personal opinion. So Frieren following the same and actually pulling it off is a big plus. And when I say it, I don't mean Frieren's soundtracks are stolen from Violet Evergarden, but they have a similar chill vibe to it that I dig a lot. The ending song is also great and follows the same chill vibe consistently throughout. The art direction in the show, as I already talked about, is magnificent. But one other thing I really loved is the interesting camera angles. What I mean by this is, unlike most animes, Frieren has some really interesting cuts where the character takes the stage on bottom of the frame, while the top part is either a blank sky or something insignificant. But I really dig this because it's not something you see often. Now this is just something I noticed, and there might be more to it than that, but I enjoyed it regardless. So yeah, this video might have become more like a Digital Foundry video on anime more than my usual style of videos, but I think it was important to focus on those details more than the story of Frieren at this moment, because most people have not watched the show and I don't want to spoil it for you. And I hope this video makes you want to watch Frieren right away. Anyway, that's about it. Thanks for watching this video. Like this video if you think this video is good, subscribe to the channel if you like my content, and I'll see you later.